Welcome to SimTour Project Episode 2, a series where I'm featuring the sim racing setups of my viewers and hoping to give you all inspiration regarding everything this hobby has to offer. If you're interested in sending your setup into the show, watch this video right up here, and before we get started, note that all gear mentioned in this video will be linked in the video description. Starting off with a banger, we have Derek. Derek is a 40-year-old transport planner from China, and his sim racing setup has a total of 6 displays. He uses 4 MSI 27-inch 144Hz monitors with 2 smaller 22-inch displays on the top corners. Of course, those will be showing all types of telemetry information when in game. Down below, he's using the FANATEC DD2 with a limited edition 2019 F1 rim as well as the BMW GT2 rim. Next to the wheelbase, he's using an Elgato Stream Deck as well as a button box he made himself. Now here's where things get a little bit more interesting. His shifter along with the pedals, despite the resemblance, aren't actually FANATEC products. They're made from a company called i33T, which was apparently the company FANATEC used to work with to design and manufacture their products. Now that they no longer work with FANATEC, they still sell sim racing products, just without the FANATEC branding. That's only what I understood at least, but I don't really want to get into it. Holding up all of this gear, Derek made an aluminum profile cockpit himself and attached a seat from a Chinese car manufacturer which he claims is very comfortable. With regards to audio, he's using the Creative 5.1 speakers and the Logitech G Pro wireless headphones. He also has an iPad hooked up there because you can never have enough screens apparently. With all the cables Derek has, he resorted to throwing them all behind the monitors and calling it a day, so there's not much to say about his cable management. Of course, powering all of this, Derek has a powerful gaming PC with an RTX 3080 and GTX 750 dual GPU setup, an AMD Ryzen 5900X, and 16GB of RAM, all housed in a Cooler Master case. Accounting for all of this gear, his estimated setup cost enters the 5 digits at $10,000 US. Before I move on to the next setup, I wanted to point out something very specific about Derek's sim racing situation. In his submission, he mentioned how staying cool on track is a big priority, which is why he has several fans scattered throughout his room and attached onto his rig, and why he even cut open his racing shoes to allow in more air. I'm not gonna judge, if it works, it works. Okay. Anyways, congrats on your very cool rig, Derek, and thank you for sharing. And next up we have Harry with a slightly more affordable setup. Harry is a 14-year-old high school student from Australia, and his sim racing setup is used to play Forza Motorsport 7 and Forza Horizon 5 on his Xbox One S. Although his setup isn't as crazy as the previous one, he does have a good bit of gear and makes do with what he has available. He's using the Leather Edition Thrustmaster TX paired with the T3PA pedals underneath. Continuing with the Thrustmaster ecosystem, he's using the TH8A shifter, which he attached onto his chair. Although it works, I can't imagine it being too comfortable to reach. As per everything else making up his rig, it's simply what he has available, and that is a wooden chair and a small table holding up what he says is a 1990s TV. Although his setup is certainly functional and has decent sim racing gear, I wonder why he went with the $200 TH8A shifter instead of putting that money towards a new monitor or a more comfortable chair. That's just something I noticed. And talking about money, his estimated setup cost is 1,500 Australian dollars. Harry, you definitely have a good bit of Thrustmaster gear, and I look forward to seeing how your setup evolves over time. Thanks for sharing your rig with us. And moving on, we have Jackson with a very cozy multi-purpose rig. Jackson is a 22-year-old residing in the United States, and he's a truck driver, day trader, and Twitch streamer. To put together everything in this rig, it took him about 2 years and an estimated $4,500. Certainly a lot of money, but it did get him a lot of good gear, including a FANATEC CSL DD along with a McLaren GT3 rim and CSL pedals underneath. Paired with all that FANATEC gear, he's rocking a modified Logitech H-pattern shifter, which I'm assuming he used a special adapter to connect via USB onto his computer. His monitor of choice is an AOC 34-inch ultra-wide, which seems like a perfect fit for a single monitor setup. Holding everything up, Jackson went with the SimLab GT1 Evo aluminum profile cockpit and attached a passenger seat from a Mazda 3. Though the seat doesn't look all that cool, I can almost guarantee it's extremely comfortable. Picking one up from a scrapyard or finding a used car seat on Facebook Marketplace can be a good, affordable option, as sim racing seats are certainly sold at a premium. Attached onto his cockpit, he went with the Trak Racer keyboard tray, which is holding up his Keychron K2 keyboard and Razer Ballistic mouse. Jackson also seems to do a nice job when it comes to cable management, as not only are they not visible, but he uses cable management sleeves to keep them together. And powering all of this, he's using a custom built PC with an Nvidia 2060, Intel i7 9700K, and 32GB of Corsair Vengeance RAM, all housed in a very nice Thermaltake H200 case. This thing looks very cool. I'm a huge fan of the aesthetic of Jackson's room. It's cozy, practical, and looks like a great time to relax after a long day. Thank you, Jackson, for your submission, but before we move on, look at this clip of him binning it on iRacing. And continuing with the cozy aesthetic, we have Leo, an 18-year-old student who works at a pet shop in Scotland. It seems like he's tight on space, but he certainly makes do with what he has. Leo is rocking the 8mm FANATEC CSL DD with the popular McLaren GT3 V2 rim. Next to that, he has a very cool button box his friend made for him, along with the Sim Racing Addict flag indicator box to the left. Down below, he finishes off the FANATEC ecosystem with the CSL pedals. Holding up all of his gear, he's using the X-Rocker XR wheel stand and a desk from IKEA. He also has a cool looking gaming chair, the ADX Firebase. On his desk, he places his 32-inch MSI 144Hz monitor with a very powerful gaming PC next to it. His PC houses an Asus TUF 3080, an AMD Ryzen 9 5950X, and 32GB of Corsair Vengeance RAM. He certainly won't be needing to upgrade that for a while. As per his cable management, it's fairly discreet, as he wrapped everything along the legs of his wheel stand and behind the desk. On all of this, Leo estimates he spent a total of $4,200, but what I like most about his setup is the motorsport theme he has going around his room, with a signed Max Verstappen photo collage, a track map of Le Mans, and several more car themed things everywhere. He also has a TV with a PlayStation in front of his bed for whenever he's too lazy to get up into his rig. Leo, congrats on a very cool setup and thank you for submitting. But before we move on, just some quick advice. I would highly recommend you sell your old Logitech gear and purchase the load cell kit for those CSL pedals. And ending off the episode, you already know we have to end with a bang, and that's where Luke comes in. Luke is a 38-year-old InsurTech consultant from Australia and is upgraded from an Xbox One and Logitech G920 to this monster of a setup in only 2 years. Nearly everyone in this video has been rocking a FANATEC wheelbase, and Luke is no exception. On his rig, he's using the FANATEC DD1 direct drive base and has a plethora of wheel rims to go along with it, including the BMW GT2, Clubsport RS, Formula 2.0, and various other standalone rims. He also seems to have a very small telemetry display on top of his wheelbase, although he didn't mention who exactly makes it. On both sides of the Trak Racer Tier 1 wheel mount, he has two small fans pointed directly at him. Not sure if that's for added realism, to keep him cool, or to just add to the look of his setup, but regardless, it probably does all three. Down below, we see yet another set of the FANATEC V3 load cell pedals, though this time Luke went with the optional damper kit. This is an $80 option intended to give a hydraulic feeling to the pedals. Back up top, he's using the FANATEC Clubsport shifter on the right, with the SimWorks sequential shifter on the left. I've got to admit, that looks like a very cool sequential shifter, and I'm surprised I've never heard of it before. Holding up all of this gear, Luke went with the brand new Trak Racer Tier 120, which is actually the same cockpit I use, except he's using a second-hand seat from his friend's race car. For added immersion, he has attached the Sim Racing Studio SRS Shake Kit, which provides haptic feedback onto the seat in a more precise manner than something like a butt kicker. Anyways, we of course have to talk about these triple screens, as they sure pack a punch. These are the MSI Optics 31.5-inch 165Hz curved displays, and these provide Luke with a fantastic image perfect for gaming with that high refresh rate. Holding up all three of those, he went with the Trak Racer freestanding triple monitor stand. It definitely does the job, although I wonder why he chose that over the integrated triple monitor mount by Trak Racer, which would have hooked up directly onto his Tier 120 and saved some space. In terms of his cable management, Luke does a decent job as he hides most of his cables behind the monitors and uses Velcro to strap cables around his monitor stand and other parts of his cockpit. In terms of the PC, he's rocking an EVGA 2080 Super, an Intel i7-10700F, and 32GB of RAM. He claims to not know much about PCs, but he's found it set up to be very low maintenance and capable of running triples on good settings at over 100 FPS without an issue. In total, this setup has cost him an estimated 11,000 Australian dollars. Something I love about Luke's setup is the attention to detail. On the stand next to his rig, he has a LEGO 1991 Jordan 191 and Williams FW14B he custom designed and built himself. They even feature removable engine covers and functional steering. He's also a fan of The Simpsons and Rick and Morty, and you've probably seen a few stickers alluding to that scattered throughout his rig. You can also see his crash helmet from back in his go-karting days. Thank you for submitting, Luke, and congrats on your setup. And just like that, this wraps up episode 2 of SimTour Project. If anything here caught your eye, I'll have all the products linked in the video description. If you've enjoyed this video, consider pressing the like button as it massively helps with the algorithm, and consider subscribing if you want to see more episodes like this. But with all that being said, thank you all for watching, stay safe, and have a fantastic rest of your day.